Good
Hello,
morning,
everyone.
everyone. I'm Julie from Gentrio, and we're just going to give it a minute or so just to get everybody to roll on. But we will get started momentarily.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We are Harvard University Employees Credit Union, and we are so happy to have Jen Trio here to join us for this presentation. Julie Fry and Mary Kate, thank you so much for being here and presenting and speaking to our esteemed members and happy guests. This presentation is a collaboration with Gentrio as well. And just a little bit of background about HUECU, if you haven't known, we are a not-for-profit credit union, and we are exclusively for the Harvard community. But if you have any questions at all or are interested in membership, please visit our website to learn more. If you have any questions that you feel like were not answered during this presentation, please feel free to stop by one of our branches. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Gentrio. Thank you so much for being here. Julie?
Great, thank you. My name is Julie Fry. I'm one of the founders of Gentrio, and my background is really in caregiving and helping families who are caring for elderly parents, as well as caring for their children, etc. We started Gentrio, which Gentrio means 3 generations, for all those people who out there who wanted to create an estate plan, and whether they're caring for themselves or whether they're caring for their parents, their adult children, etc. With me today is Mary Kate D'Souza, and I'll let Mary Kate introduce herself. But before we get started, I did want to mention a couple of quick things for the logistics and housekeeping. Number one, we are going to record this session so that way, if anybody wants to watch it again, or they want to review, we will have a recording of that. So FYI, that will be happening. And then secondly, throughout the presentation, we're going to go a little bit more in depth about estate planning, what it is, what the documents are, how you can use them, why they're important. But if you have questions throughout the process, there is a Q&A at the top of in the menu bar of the Zoom call. Feel free to put questions there. We will try to answer those questions throughout, but then if we do have time at the end, we'll open it up for questions as well. Also, we are not a law firm, and we aren't going to give you specific legal advice, but we will explain to you how you can create those legally binding state-specific estate plans and make sure that you have the documents that protect your loved ones and your assets that you need based on your specific situation. Again, if you have questions, put them in. We will get to them. If you don't want to put them in the chat, you're welcome to email them at info@gentrio.com, which is info@gentrio.com. And with that, we see it looks like we have a pretty good audience so far. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Mary Kate and I happen to be in the same room. And so I have it on mute so that Mary Kate, oh, here, I will
unpause for a second so you can see my face. But we're in the same room, so I'm muted because Mary Kate's going to do the vast majority of the presentation. So we don't want to get feedback. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Mary
Kate, because Mary Kate is our Chief Legal Officer, and she has years of experience specifically with estate planning. And for us, that is really key because we aren't a generalist. We specifically deal with developing those tailored estate plans. So with that, I'll let Mary Kate go ahead and kick it off.
Thank you so much, Julie. As Julie said, I'm attorney Mary Kate D'Souza. I'm an attorney who's been in practice in Massachusetts for over 20 years. And how I joined Gentrio, as it happens, I am good friends with the Fry sisters, who Renee Fry is the CEO and Julie Fry is the COO of Gentrio. And we were discussing the need of this type of service because so many people don't have an opportunity to create their estate planning documents, or they create them, but then when the crisis hits, the people they want to take action don't know where the documents are. And we saw this as a problem that could be easily solved with technology. And that's the story on how I'm part of this team and on the creation of Gentrio.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar with estate planning is more than just creating your will. Good estate planning starts from when you're still alive, and what we wanted to do with Gentrio is provide you, almost like TurboTax for estate planning, the tools so that you can really easily create that estate plan that works for you. And that gives you the opportunity to protect your healthcare choices with your healthcare proxy, your finances, who you want to get what, etc., with a will or a living trust, or a power of attorney for power of attorney for finances. Mary Kate will go through all these in depth. And then what we wanted to do is make sure that we help you along the way. So it's more than just boilerplate. It's dealing with what your specific situation is and using technology so that we can help you create the documents that you need. Without an estate plan, you stand to lose not only a huge amount of your assets, up to 3 to 8% of your assets, but for us, more importantly, you lose control over your decisions. And Mary Kate has multiple examples over and over and over again about how instead of being with their family when, like, an elderly person is sick, etc., families have to go and hire lawyers to make sure that they have the choice and they have the ability to make choices for their loved ones. Estate planning is an ounce of prevention. An ounce of prevention. She knows. I'm really bad at this. An ounce of prevention for a pound of cure. And this is the one thing that we really want to do, because we want to help you make sure that you protect your family, like who takes care of your kids if you can't be there, protect your assets, who gets what, or if, like with a trust, a living trust, making sure that there's no need for probate, etc. And then also we have additional tools that we've created so that when you do have those really difficult situations, like an emergency, we have an instant access button so that you can access the information that's shared with you. We have that digital vault so that everybody knows where to turn to in an event of an emergency. We have the milestones so that when you do have something, like for instance, you have you're going to have a child, or you're now caring for an elderly parent, or you're going to go traveling, we can walk you through how you need to update your estate plan, and then we give you the tools to actually make that happen. The biggest thing that we want to reiterate and make sure that everyone knows is that estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. Everyone needs an estate plan that's legal adult. And why this is so important is that so many people are like, oh, I don't have a lot, or I'm married, and so my spouse is going to get everything. And they have all these misconceptions about what estate planning is and why they need it. What we want to do is we want to give you the tools so that if you do have that really simple situation, you can go in and create your estate plan in half an hour. It's not a hard thing, but it's something that everybody needs to protect themselves. And anyone who's actually either been through it themselves, like their parents passing away, or their friends or family passing away, or they've seen it happen, if you don't have an estate plan, it causes so much stress that providing the tools for your family to make decisions, providing the tools so that they have those legal documents so that they can uphold your wishes, is really critically important. And then what we want to make sure is that Gentrio is more than just one and done. We're not just the type of company where you can come in, do your will, and you're done. I mean, you can do that, but where we really shine is the fact that we help you throughout the way. We help you create that estate plan that grows with you. So as things change, as your life changes, you can easily update your will, your healthcare proxy, your estate plan to cover your life. Also, and this is for us so important, you can create that home that I mentioned before, that digital vault, so that when, God forbid, something does happen, people aren't scrambling. Everyone knows where everything is, they have access and control, and everything is securely stored and shared. This is a huge important aspect, because if you don't have access to those documents, or your loved ones don't have access to those documents, it's pretty much as good as not having it at all. So you really want to make sure that as you create your documents, you're letting your daughter 3 states away know where things are stored. You're making sure that if you want to share just your pet information card or your pet power of attorney with your neighbor next door who watches your dog, you can do that. You have control so that everybody has access to what your choices are, that information. And it's something that once you put it up there and once you create it, you don't have to redo it every single time. It really is about ease of use and making things streamlined so it doesn't create extra work for you. What we do at Gentrio is we provide that full service life and estate plan, which basically means we take what your situation is, give you the tools to make the documents, create the documents, and then it produces, you fill out a simple survey. There's help along the way. If you do have questions, you can call our number or schedule an appointment with one of our Gentrio coaches. And we all take turns answering questions with the coaches. And our coaches, while they won't give you specific legal advice, we will make sure that we give you that technical advice to make sure that your choices are reflected in your estate plan. And so that we make it easy for you and you have that live person that you can consult. Once you fill out the survey, we create a PDF that tells you the specific steps, how to make each document legal in your state. What that means is that's important for you to make sure that it's executed, like having your document witnessed or notarized, etc. And then once you create the plan, you save it, and then we help you easily and quickly update it so that it really reflects where your life is. And then again, for us, those milestones are so important, because once you create your plan, if you do hit one of those milestones, because you've already done it, you can easily go in very quickly and adjust what you need to in your plan to reflect where your life is. So we grow with you and we save you time, because what we want to do is make sure that as your life changes, your estate plan changes with you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Kate, who's going to go into a little bit more depth on the documents themselves.
Thank you, Julie. The first document that we're going to talk about is the last will and testament. Most of us are familiar with this from, TV shows or what have you. And what we have an understanding of is that that's how the assets are distributed. And that is true. That's a critical component of the will. But other features of the will that we might not consider in our everyday lives, but are equally important, is, especially if you're the parent of minor children, a will gives you an opportunity to nominate who you would want to take care of your children if, heaven forbid, the worst happened. Also, with the will, you're able to nominate someone to be your personal representative. This is the person that would manage your will and the probate of the will and make sure that your wishes as outlined in the will are upheld. So it's very important that everyone, as Julie said, every capable adult create a will, so that way they can use they can create a will in which it reflects what their wishes are for not only their assets, but for other things, who they want to manage it, and if they're the parent of minor children, who they'd want to be their guardian.
A couple of quick things. Number one, your will only takes effect after you pass away. But with the digital vault, we actually have a whole section for the your wishes. For example, your funeral plan. Do you have a burial lot? Do you have a funeral company you've already contracted, or insurance, etc.? And so for us, good estate planning starts while you're still living, and it's not just about what happens when you pass away.
Right. So one of the critical documents that's effective when you're alive and actually the authority expires upon your death is, in Massachusetts, it's referred to as a healthcare proxy. Other states, it's known as a medical power of attorney or a power of attorney for healthcare. This is a document that enables you to appoint someone of your choosing to make decisions for you in regards to your healthcare if you're unable to make them yourself. It's very important, especially in light of what we all just experienced with the COVID pandemic, that again, every capable adult have a healthcare proxy. This is your opportunity to put someone that you trust in charge of your medical decisions. A Gentrio healthcare proxy also gives you an opportunity to indicate life-sustaining treatment that you would want, and also gives you an opportunity to indicate any other specific requests that you would want. By making this an official legal document, it puts pressure on the medical professionals to uphold what your wishes are, so you get the care that you want. And another benefit of having a healthcare proxy, and along with the healthcare proxy, also with the financial power of attorney, is Gentrio offers you an opportunity to appoint point 1, 2, and 3. So you have 3 choices in order of preference of who you would want to serve, which is very helpful because sometimes, you appoint, say, your spouse as your first choice, but heaven forbid you're both in a catastrophic car accident together, you're going to want a second or a third choice. So it's important, as Julie has said multiple times, effective estate planning works while you're alive. And this is one of the critical anchor documents to have to protect your choices while you're alive.
And a couple of quick things I wanted to mention with the healthcare proxy. This is really important because our healthcare proxy actually has a couple of things integrated into it. One is your HIPAA release, and this is critical if you have an adult child that you want to help make medical decisions for or help them. We actually had a client who called the other day who wanted to help make an appointment for their child, but now that their child was 18 years old, they can't make appointments or they can't talk to their medical staff, their child's medical staff. And so if you have that adult child who's gone off to college, who's left the house, etc., and you want to be able to talk to their medical staff or make decisions, you want to make sure that they have a healthcare proxy in place to help them. Also included in our healthcare proxy is our questions in regards to a living will. So the living will gives you the opportunity to make decisions like in the event of a catastrophic event, do you want to be removed from life support, etc. And so it includes that living will as well. And then Mary Kate is actually answering questions in the Q&A as well. But in terms of how specific or detailed your healthcare instructions are, that really is up to you. So you can do something just as quick and easy as clicking a button as I don't want to receive artificial hydration, or you can give them specific instances, and you can be detailed. If this happens, if there is no, if this event occurs, etc. You get to really decide how detailed that it needs to be. And then if you also want, you can actually leave the decisions to your healthcare proxy themselves. And so the healthcare proxy can make those decisions for you. So it gives you the choice and it gives you the control.
Yeah, just adding on to that, I did answer in the Q&A the person who had that specific question. To reiterate what Julie said, the critical aspect of the healthcare proxy is to appoint someone you know and trust to make those healthcare decisions for you, because no document is going to be able to account for the myriad possibilities of what could happen. To your point, if in your family's medical history, say both parents have dementia, you're at high risk for dementia, then you probably would want to account for that, or certain specific situations And you'd probably want to have a detailed conversation with your appointed agents to say, this is how I would want these situations to be handled. But as I said, the more important thing is to choose wisely who you're going to nominate and appoint as your healthcare agent, rather than all the myriad possibilities. The next document is similar to the healthcare power of attorney, but it's the power of attorney for finances. The healthcare power of attorney only kicks in upon your incapacity, meaning that you can no longer make healthcare decisions, so someone else is making them for you. For a financial power of attorney, it becomes active when you appoint someone as your agent or attorney in fact. One of the things, though, that you could do, depending upon the nature of your relationship with the person that you're appointing as your agent, is say, like, I'm appointing you to serve in this role when I'm incapacitated, but I don't expect you to do anything now. And that that is common. However, I want to make sure everyone understands that if you chose poorly and that someone, you appointed someone and gave them all sorts of power over your finances, they would have the ability to go to the bank and start doing things with this document. So you just want to make sure, again, that the person you choose is someone that you trust and would not take advantage of you and would follow your wishes about how you want your finances managed.
Yep. And just as an example, we put a power of attorney for finances in place for our father and mother. And unfortunately, our father got Alzheimer's disease, and then he wasn't able to make good financial decisions, etc. And we had to step in and help him pay his taxes, basically pay for his car, write checks, etc. And that power of attorney for finances allowed us to step in and make sure that everything was taken care of for him, without us having to go and hire a lawyer and get additional
authority. Yeah.
Authority. Yeah.
If you don't have a power of attorney and you become incapacitated, if no one else has access to your finances, your loved ones have to go to court to get someone appointed, what's known as conservator, to manage your money. And so by having a power of attorney, it enables a much smoother and easier transition and management of finances. Again, that person has to be someone that you trust and is able to take the responsibility of serving in that role. There is a question, Julie, just want to mention, because it was on the last will and testament slide, which was a few slides back. Someone's inquiring, what is intestacy law? Intestacy laws, every state has a law which states what happens if someone dies without a will, and that's known as dying intestate. And usually it's by degree of kinship. So meaning it's a spouse, and then if there is no spouse, children, if there is no children, siblings, if there are no siblings, nieces and nephews, like, etc. For cousins, rather, it goes further down the line. And what I think we all really need to understand, and Michelle Singletary, who's an NPR financial commentator, whenever she gives presentations on estate planning, she begins it by asking the crowd, who here has a will? And you know, the vast majority of people, it's over 80%, do not have a will. And she says, wrong, 100% of you have a will. The issue is you haven't written it. Who's written it is your state. It's your state legislature that's written it. So your will is the opportunity to control what you want. There's a question about, is there any scenario where it makes sense to appoint a power of attorney for finances who is not a family member or friend? So there are oftentimes many people choose to hire a professional to take the emotion out of it. So that is a common scenario, actually. The downside to it is whatever professional you appoint as your attorney in fact will charge you, right? So if you put an accountant or a financial advisor in that role, they're going to charge you for that time. But that may be money well spent given your own personal family dynamics. So again, that's a very personal decision, and you have to look at what makes sense. But I have seen that many, many times in which people appoint a professional, either an attorney, a financial advisor, or accountant, or even like a banker, someone who's not a family member, because they don't want to put their family member in a situation in which they're going to have to say no to another family member. They'd rather have a neutral professional take it who isn't emotionally entangled. Okay. Oh, a living trust and pour over will. So a living trust is another way of managing your assets and making decisions about how you would want things handled during your incapacity. And a living trust is accompanied in Gentrio with what's called a pour over will. This will funnels everything that is not held in trust into the trust upon your death, once the will is probated. So the trust does not have to go through probate. It doesn't have to go through court. The only time a trust is involved in court is when there is litigation, that someone's suing someone over the trust. But generally, a trust is a private document that no one has access to, and it's your wishes. And creating a trust and a pour over will with Gentrio is very easy, similar to the other documents that Gentrio offers. The wrinkle with creating a living trust is that you have to fund it. So what do I mean by that? If you want, say you want to have your house held in a living trust, what you have to do once you create your living trust is transfer the house, which right now is in your name, into the name of the living trust, which would require a deed, and the deed would have to be recorded. Similarly, if you want your bank account or your investments to be held by the trust, they need to be transferred out of your name individually and put in the name of the trust. And by doing that, you are ceding a level of control, unless, of course, you're the trustee. Not people who are in the wealth accumulation stage generally would prefer to have just a will and not deal with a living trust. Others, for privacy reasons, or maybe they're older and they're at the tail end of wealth accumulation, may prefer to create a trust and do their estate planning that way. One issue that I did want to make clear, because we have had some inquiries from different customers, is that Gentrio does not offer what is known as an irrevocable trust. An irrevocable trust, as its name says, is a trust that cannot be changed. Once it's created, it cannot be changed. And people use an irrevocable trust as part of planning, so for long-term care planning, and to try to preserve like the family homestead or a bulk of assets, so that's not used for long-term care. We have partner attorneys. If you're someone that's looking to create an irrevocable trust, we have partner attorneys that could help you with that. But it is of an advanced nature in which it is not, it's not really realistic for a self-serve model, which Gentrio is.
One last thing before we do go on. With that irrevocable trust, if you do want, you can call the coaches. The coaches, again, as Mary Kate had mentioned, can suggest partner attorneys for you. And what we want to do is make sure that you can use Gentrio to create that home for everyone. So if you do create documents outside of Gentrio, whether you're bringing an irrevocable trust, or you've already done your will, or you've already done your funeral planning, etc., you can upload those documents into your digital vault from outside of Gentrio and still share them with your family. Sorry, go ahead, Mary Kate.
No, that's okay. So another another document that Gentrio offers is for estate planning, is for our furry friends, right? many people treat their pets like family, and we had a lot of inquiries and we're all pet owners ourselves, for documents to help for estate planning in regards to pets. So Gentrio offers a pet trust, similar to what we talked about with a revocable living trust that Gentrio offers. A pet trust purpose is to take care of your pets, and within it you can state who you want to be trustee of the pet, who you want to be the pet caregiver, and how you want your pet taken care of. And again, creating the trust is one step. The second step is funding it. You could either fund it while you're alive to put X amount of dollars into the pet trust, or you could fund it through your will, in which a certain amount of your assets would go to the pet trust to make sure your pets are taken care of. A pet power of attorney is another document similar to the healthcare proxy and power of attorney, in which you appoint someone to make decisions on your behalf for your pet if you're not available. And it could be either short-term or long-term or both. So for example, if you're traveling and you have a pet sitter, to avoid any sort of legal complications, if heaven forbid something should happen to your pet, it's good to have it documented what you would want, so the vet would uphold it. And within the pet power of attorney, you can also set financial limits. And additionally, there's a long-term pet power of attorney, meaning similar to the healthcare proxy and power of attorney. If you're incapacitated, who you would want to take care of your pet during your incapacity, and would your pet be provided for? The reason why people want to do this is because oftentimes without an estate plan in place, a lot of these pets get euthanized, unfortunately, if there's no plan. So it's helpful, like everything else. And as Julie said, the ounce of prevention for the pound of cure. If you're able to think about these things and get it organized ahead of time, it just makes it easier when the crisis hits for things to be managed. And it's not left, oh, who's going to take care of the cat or the dog or whatever.
Before we go on and talk a little bit more specifically about Gentrio and Gentrio as a benefit for you as a Harvard Employee Credit Union member, I do want to back up and answer a couple of additional questions that we had that came up. A lot of questions about the will, which is great, so keep them coming. But with the will, one of the questions is, are you able to appoint an organization to your will or a small business? And the answer is yes. So with the will, if you want to if you want to bequeath money to an organization after you pass away, you're actually able to go in and set what that organization is or who that organization is and name specific gifts. With specific gifts, we do want to make sure that everyone understands that a specific gift is allocated first and foremost before your remaining assets. So when you create a will, you can say, like, for instance, I could say, I'm going to leave 50% to my nephew and 50% to my sister. But I want to, and at the time I'm worth, let's say, $1 million. But then you say, oh, I want to leave $100,000 to my church, or the art museum, or whatever, for example, a nonprofit. If you make a specific gift to them, that gift is actually allocated first. So for example, if I did pass away and I was worth $1 million, that $100,000 that I'd said to send to my church would go to my church, and then the $900,000 would be split between my nephew and my sister in that situation. But in the event that my financial situation drastically changes and I'm only worth, let's say, $250,000, that $100,000 is still going to go directly to my church. But then instead of splitting the remaining assets of the remaining assets will still be split. So my sister and my nephew would split the $250,000 I died with minus the $100,000, So it'd be 150,000 that would get split between them. So hopefully that is a good explanation. Mary Kate, did you have anything to add to that?
No, Julie, that was good. I'm jumping to the next question about college savings accounts. I don't know if you saw that. Someone, Mr. Bristol is inquiring about 529Cs and how that factors into estate planning. And if you have a 529C and you pass away prematurely, does the money automatically go to the student beneficiary? So for those of you, as Mr. Bristol says, a 529C is a particular type of savings account in which you can put in money for the specific purpose of educating children or nieces and nephews or what have you. And it's a great tool. Accountants and others often advise to do this if you have the extra assets because of the tax benefits. A 529C, similar to other type of account, other type of special accounts, usually when you create it, you're given the option of nominating a successor owner. So in other words, the account set up with the option of understanding if you were to die prematurely, what before you're able to your child comes of college age, what do you want to happen with the money? And the best protection for that is you don't want your child to inherit it when they're a minor or just when they turn 18, because most of us would say most of us didn't know what we were doing when we were just 18. It's the rare exception that has the maturity and the understanding to know what to do with that type of inheritance. So what you can do is go back and review when you first set up your savings account, the 529C, and see that you've nominated a successor owner. And if you didn't at that time, inquire what steps you need to take to nominate a successor owner now. And again, this would be someone similar to your financial power of attorney, or perhaps the person that you want to be personal representative of your state. This is someone who has the skills and the wherewithal to manage this money and to make sure that the money would be used for the education of your children whom you had been funding this account for.
Again, please keep your questions coming because we'll continue to answer them throughout, and then we'll open it at the end for additional questions if you have them. But now that we've covered some of the basics of the documents that we talked about, I do want to go in and talk a little bit and introduce you to Gentrio, because as I had mentioned before, Gentrio is very much like estate plan, TurboTax for estate planning. We give you the tools so that you can go online, fill out the survey based on what your specific situation is. And no matter if you are across any of the 50 states, you have the state-specific and legally binding documents to make sure your choices are upheld. And so what we want to do is make sure that we give you the tools so that you can create your documents to represent what your lives are and protect all that you love. And as a credit union member, and this actually, we're starting to get questions about this. As a credit union member, you have the ability to join Gentrio at a greatly reduced price. And the price is actually based on your relationship with the credit union. And so what we do is we provide you with all of the tools. So you get a choice to protect what you love with every single document or only the documents that you want. And why this is important is you can come in, whoops, I accidentally hit the wrong button. You can go in and you can create one document, or you can create all of your documents. And those documents are all included in the price of your Gentrio membership. And so again, just to review, those documents are your last will and testament, your living trust, which includes your pour over will, your power of attorney for finances. And as Mary Kate said, that is both your durable and your limited. So you can take your power of attorney for finances and choose what authorities you give them or the time. Both of that's included. In addition, your healthcare proxy or power of attorney for healthcare, your pet trust, your pet power of attorney, also general information like your pet information card or your emergency card. Those are the documents, but in addition to your documents, we really help you create that full service estate plan. What that means is you can create your documents, you can make sure that you have a plan in place. You can schedule a call with one of our coaches so that, again, just to reiterate, we won't give you specific legal advice, but we will help you make sure that you're creating your documents based on your choices, that coaching is included as part of the price, that digital vault. Again, we have bank level security, and this is very important. You control the information. We don't sell your information. You share the information, and we securely store it. So what this means is if I want to share information with one person, just a bit of information, I can. Or if I have my caregiver or somebody who lives next door or across the country or across the world, I can share everything with them, and I control that information. And it's securely shared. What that means is we don't just straight email the information. We require the Gentrio team member to create a free membership that allows them to access the information you shared with them. So they can go in, and if you share your healthcare proxy or your funeral plans or your contact information or your medical information or your travel information, whatever information that is shared with them, they can access free of charge. They can't create their own documents. They would have to buy a membership for that, but they can access the information and can access that instant access button. So in the event of an emergency, they can go in onto the Gentrio secured server, access that information from their cell phone, from an iPad, from their computer, whatever works for them, and access that information and use it to make sure that your wishes are upheld. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Excuse my interruption. I just wanted to clarify a few things. One is the Gentrio team member is your chosen loved one. It's who you invite to get the information. It's not an employee of Gentrio. And also our experience is, as Julie said, we have all these documents that you could create, but we also have had customers that have already met with an attorney and they've created a will, etc., and they don't need to create any of their documents, but they still use Gentrio for the exact features Julie was just discussing, the digital vault storage and the sharing feature, because they recognize the value of being able to use and access these documents in the event of an emergency.
Great point. And then a couple of other quick things. We've already mentioned the milestones. What do you do when you're having a baby? What do you do when you're caring for a parent? What do you do when you're getting ready for retirement or travel, etc.? All those milestones are available to help you through so that you can update your estate plan to base it on your life. And then also, we want to help you preserve your legacy. If you want to create memorial videos, leave letters for loved ones, etc., it gives you the opportunity to store the information and share it with whom you choose. Again, as a Harvard Employee University Credit Union member, we have negotiated a great price for you. And when you go online to the HUECU website, there is a link which we will send out to you afterwards, which will show you what the different levels are so that you can make sure that you know what the price is and you know that your membership qualifies you for each individual level. And again, included in that is everything from all of the documents, that live coaching, the support, and it gives you the opportunity. Oh, and I just realized In the chat now, Jake from our team has put the link for the credit union in the chat, which is huecu.org/digital-estate-planning. And so that can give you more information. If you need additional information, call your credit union, because your credit union is an excellent opportunity for you to ask questions. And it also is a great place for you to go in and access and use your estate plan. By that, oh, sorry. I just realized, I'm sorry. Jake just mentioned that the website address that I gave you was just a link to me. It wasn't in the full chat to everyone, but we will make sure that we share it to everyone. And then also I did want to make sure that, you know, when you create a estate plan with Gentrio and you create the documents, many of the documents will need to be witnessed or notarized. The great part about the Harvard Employee University Credit Union is you can bring those documents into the branches, and they most likely will have a notary available so that you can get them notarized there. I would encourage you to make sure that you call the credit union in your branch before you go, but it's a great opportunity for you to easily, quickly go in and get those documents notarized or executed, because that's how you make it legal in your state. From that, we want to go ahead and open it up for questions, so that if you do have additional questions about Gentrio, about your benefit, or about documents, we can help answer those. And then one of the last things I want to mention to you is that if you have additional questions, please email us at info@Gentrio, which is GENTREO, and we can answer those questions for you. And did anybody have any other questions or anything else we can help with? The great thing is that we've been able to answer questions along the way. So hopefully we've answered all of your questions. And again, feel free to reach out to us or your credit union. Specifically, if you have questions for your credit union about what you qualify for, call them up. They'll be able to help you very easily and quickly.
Excuse me, Julie, there is a one last question here. What happens to my document? Should I close my HUECU account and or end my Gentrio account?
Sure. So two things. So if you end your credit union account, then you are responsible for paying for it for the upkeep. So your first year is anywhere from free to $100. After that, it goes down to $50 a year to maintain the subscription. And so that subscription allows you to continually update your documents as your life changes, or if your state's laws change. If you want to end your Gentrio account, then the documents that you created actually remain legal in your state, as long as your state doesn't have any additional changes and as long as your situation doesn't change. So once you create that legal document, they remain legally binding and valid until your state laws change.
Well, and just to slightly clarify that, they remain legally binding if they were created appropriately according to the laws as they were then. I think the question the customer is asking, they're your documents. Gentrio doesn't hold them, they're yours. They're if you decide to end your Gentrio membership and or end your Harvard Employee Union Credit Union membership, you can take the documents with you. You lose the benefit of the storage and the sharing feature, but the documents that you created are yours. All right.
Great. Well, thank you again for attending. If you have any questions, please let us know, and good luck creating the plan that works for you.
Thank you. Right before we say goodbye, thank you so much, Julie.
Oh, no. We're still on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you so much, Mary Kate, for presenting this today. And thank you so much for providing this benefit to our membership. We really do appreciate it here at HUECU. If you have any questions at all while you're still on the webinar, please feel free to send them to huecu.org. We're more than happy to help. Again, thank you so much, Julie and Mary Kate. This was awesome. I learned a lot.
Great.
All right, have a good day. Thanks
Thank you so
all.
much. Bye.